Man, the only thing I gotta say about these first 3 episodes of season 2 of X-Men 97 is hell yeah! It was really good. I mean, first episode was the weakest of the 3, but the other 2 episodes were really good. I really enjoyed them. And, I was really excited. I was so excited I stayed up till 2:30 in the morning waiting for the frickin' 2 o'clock drop. Never happened. So I went to bed. I'm like, man, plus because usually I go to the gym on Wednesday, but my back was bothering me. Then I stayed up till frickin' 2 in the morning. 2:30 in the frickin' morning. But, man. Now, around 2 and 2:30, they changed the frickin' cover art to the frickin' go with the new season of X-Men 97. But, man. What? Oof. This episode was really good. Like I said, the first one was the weakest. It was still pretty good, but the first one was the weakest. The other 2 after that were just good. And frickin' episode 2 had me frickin' cracking up laughing when it started because it was super frickin' funny. Why is my fan off? Oh. I'll have to watch X-Men 97 again because I've watched it twice today. Season 2. When I got up, then I took a break, watched a little bit of Three's Company, and then frickin' went back to watching the first 3 episodes. So let's start with episode 1, which is, it takes place in the future with the future X-Men. We see Forge and Bishop building a time machine. And we also see Trish Tilby on the frickin' news talking about what's going on with the mutant situation and all that stuff. And then Bishop says, man, your present is starting to look like my future, or the future I'm from. So they get the time machine set up. It seems like Forge is not happy with making the time machine, I guess because he don't want to frickin' mess with time. Which is kind of funny. It's hypocritical with the X-Men because all the X-Men ever do is mess with time. I mean, you had the Days of Future Past storylines. You have the frickin' Days of Future Past movie. They were messing around in time in the old show. Even, I guess you could somewhat say they messed around with time in X-Men Evolution and Wolverine the X-Men. Yeah. Wolverine the X-Men, they were frickin' messing with time because the first season's all based on them trying to stop the frickin' Days of Future Past from happening. So, yeah. But anyway, so Bishop goes to the past. He's gonna go get the X-Men from the past. And frickin' Forge went to the future to get the X-Men from the future. And when Forge gets there, I mean, it seems like realizes Forge is really useless unless inventing something. He's pretty useless. Because he runs into some of Apocalypse's frickin', what were they? Frickin' cyber, shoot, what was they called? Cyber fudge. Cyber Reavers, I think? Yeah, no, not the Reavers. The Reavers are frickin' work with Deathstroke. Shoot. What are they frickin' called again? Yeah, I just watched the last episode around 11, so... Well, my second watch was around 11, and then I've watched plenty of other stuff and had other things going on here while I was, after I watched it. But anyway... Cyberhounds, yeah. His frickin' Cyberhounds show up, they start attacking him, and then we see a cloud of smoke come through or whatever. Then we see Wolverine come out and start attacking him. He saves Forge. But Wolverine's a little hurt, so frickin' Forge has to help him from falling. And then, after that, Storm shows up. And her and frickin', her and Forge have that, reuniting thing. And then, he starts talking about sending them back, getting them back to the past. And Storm gives him a look. He's like, I don't like that look. Wolverine's like, yeah, a lot's happened since the asteroid. So, then we see Cyclops and Jean coming to get him. With Nathan. And they're going back to where the Clan of Scani headquarters is. And Cyclops and Jean are, Forge is talking to them about how they're messing up things in time and all that. And, you know, Cyclops, he's like, you know, maybe the person that sent you here is trying to stop you guys from making Cable the soldier he ends up becoming in the future, the one that kills Apocalypse. Which he does kill Apocalypse in X-Men, the animated series, season 4, Beyond Good and Evil. Technically, he does the kill. He destroys the Lazarus Chamber, but then freaking the psychics take Apocalypse out of the axis of time. So, yeah. So, technically, the psychics that he captured killed him. But, yeah, that's besides the point. So, anyway, Cyclops and Jean, they're about to tell Cable who they are and all that stuff. Well, Nathan. They're about to tell him who they are. But then freaking Morph comes in and he wants to play catch with freaking Nathan, so... They go play catch, and then Cyclops and Jean is talking about they should just take Nathan back with them because, you know, Cyclops doesn't like the fact that he'd have to abandon his son again. Also, while that's going on, Storm and Forge is talking, and Forge is like, you know, you of all people who like things being in order and all that stuff, why would you be okay with this? And she's like, you know, I'm not going to apologize for, you know, letting a parent say bye to his child. Because as you've seen at season 1 and the end of episode 3, Cyclops walked out because he didn't want to abandon Nathan. And, you know, so. But then Cyclops and Jean take off. They avoid Morph. They take Nathan to go. I guess they were going to go back into past with Nathan. And then, like, Mother Ascani tells them, because Cyclops talks to Mother Ascani earlier in the freaking episode about it. We also find out Mother Ascani's the one that brought him to the future and put him in the past. And I'll talk about that when I get to episode 3. But, anyway. Oh, by the way, I should warn you. If you have not seen these episodes yet, go watch them, then come back and watch this video. Because I'm doing heavy spoilers. Anyway, so then they're going to go back to the past, but then they get captured by some of Apocalypse's goons. We see Apocalypse, the future one that we've seen in the frickin' leaked teaser trailers before they put out the official trailers. And then, Mother Ascani says the reason why she wanted Storm is because of how powerful Storm is and how Storm can control solar affairs, and they have frickin' Forge create this machine, or this plane that can get them to that train fast enough, because she said once you get to that frickin' train, or once you get to that gate on that train to Apocalypse's fortress, that's impenetrable. So, the X-Men devise a plan to get that taken care of. They also mentioned Ship from Obsession, Season 3, which was one of the good episodes of Season 3. That and the frickin' Phoenix sagas. And the two-parter that started Season 3. Everything else, you know, and I talked about that Monday in my video, so I'm not going to go back to that. But anyway, yeah. So, Apocalypse realizes once they stop the plans of Apocalypse, so Apocalypse wants to freaking use Nathan's body to merge with so we don't have to use the Lazarus Chamber no more. Which is kind of pulling from episode 5 where he needed a vessel to come back into existence to get out of limbo, and he used Fabian Cortez. I mean, you can't say Cortez didn't deserve it. I mean, come on now. And Beast did warn him that Apocalypse would betray him, and he still didn't listen to Beast. And Beast was right. Anyway, so Apocalypse gets mad. He says he's going to have to go take out the X-Men in the 90s at their most vulnerable. And, if you read the comics on that, you know they're when they're at their strongest, but, yeah. So then he blasts off somewhere, and, his servant, Ozzy Opal, or whatever his name is, Ozzy something. I don't know the guy's full name, but I know it's Ozzy. And I do remember seeing him in the Blood of Apocalypse comic. But that was like showing the fate of Apocalypse, because it was like the final part after Apocalypse and them have been beat. And he says, you know, now your fate is to be decided by the gods, or something like that. So, after the X-Men do that, they're like, oh, now we can go back in time and all that. So, you know, they're going to go back in time, but Jean and Cyclops don't want to say goodbye to Cable. Cable don't want them to leave. And then, Nate puts his hand in the thing, which is the scene you seen in the trailer where he puts his hand in the machine and it freaking gives him his time machine that he always talked to throughout the whole show. Or he talked to it through the freaking, which is kind of odd because, you know, at different points in that freaking show, in the original show, sometimes the freaking thing would sound like a man and then sometimes the thing would sound like a woman. So, I don't know. I guess depending on what voice actor they could get to freaking play the freaking Cable's little time cube thing. Because, like, at the end of freaking season 1, it sounded like a man. But then when she freaking goes into the young Nathan's arm, it sounds like a woman again. And I've heard people predict that might be Ship. And she's freaking Cable's time machine. Could be, I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see for the rest of the season. Another thing I'm glad about, we are going to get 10 episodes for this season, which is good. Which means we might still get that Onslaught tease that What's-His-Face was talking about when he was complaining that they were going to rewrite his whole freaking story and all that stuff. So, I don't know. We might still get the Onslaught tease and we might still get Onslaught. But, yeah. I'll wait and see till the end of the season. Unless they go with my idea and, like, season 1's all about reintroducing Apocalypse. And then season 2 is all about reintroducing Apocalypse. And then season 3 is like the Age of Apocalypse. So we'll see. And then season 4 could be Onslaught. And if they do get season 5, I don't know what they'll do for season 5. Anyway, so the X-Men are getting ready to go back in time. Cable frickin' does the thing. But they don't show it. They don't show it till, like, I think the end of episode 2. But then after that, we cut to Cable in the present. And he's recruiting Archangel and Psylocke. And when I get to episode 2, I'm going to talk about frickin' Archangel's voice actor. Because, oh my god. I'll talk about that when I get to that. Oh my god. What they do to my boy Archangel. I don't know. Because, you know, I'll talk about it in a minute. But I'll talk about the voice acting in general from the original animated series to the frickin' 97 show. Anyway, so Cable's recruiting them to be a part of X-Force. Then he says, hey, we're going to recruit these people too. And then it's Jubilee and Sunspot. And then that's how the episode ends. Then season 2 is pretty funny. Well, first off, it starts out with the cold open. We got the freaking New Mutants are running from, I guess, government agents and all that, which I talked about. That also leaked in the second teaser trailer. In the leaked teaser trailers before they made the official ones. But they're running from something, and then they get to the X-Mansion. They're talking about how it was a safe place and how the X-Men are dead and all that stuff. And this is after Forge and Bishop done went to the past and the future, so, yeah. Anyway, so X-Factor captures them. And we hear Havoc say, well, they say, well, don't hurt us or something like that. And then, like, Havoc says, we're not going to hurt you. Definitely the good guys or something like that. Although, you know, they lock them up and put collars on them, like in Genosha in Slave Island. But, so then we get them captured. Then we get, you know, Jubilee and frickin' Sunspot. They're in a arcade. And Sunspot, I guess, is scamming people out of money like he got good at some game or something there. And he's frickin' betting everybody that he can't beat them or something. And then he beats them and takes their money. And then they like frickin', they frickin' give he's like, dinner's on me. And then after that, Jubilee's kind of being serious. She's like, you know, the X-Men wouldn't be sitting around playing games at this time of crisis. And, you know, and then she's like, it doesn't help that frickin' Forge and Bishop disappeared on him. Like, how'd she even know Bishop was back? I know she was still there with Forge. I know Forge was still there when they frickin', at the end of season 1, but how'd she know Bishop was back? I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, so then Cable says, I thought you were supposed to be the happy one. And then they see it's Cable. She's like, Cable. And then Cable recruits them to join X-Force. And then he tells them what's all going on and all that stuff and who they're going after. And Jubilee's like, okay, you know, we'll join. What's the name of this team? And then we get the opening credit, which is just hilarious. It says, instead of X-Men, it says X-Force. And then instead of Cyclops being the first to show, they show frickin' Cable. And then I think it's Jubilee, I think it might be Sunspot, but it could be Cable, Archangel, Psylocke, Jubilee, and then Sunspot. But anyway, they do the whole freaking shtick too. It's like the whole freaking running where you see the X-Men running. You see the freaking New Mutants are the ones that are running from the Sentinels now, and they get locked behind the gate. Kind of like what they did with Jubilee in the original show, and then in the X-Men animated in X-Men97 season 1, how it was freaking Sunspot. I just cracked up laughing at that episode. I'm like, wow, this is freaking funny. It's just like the X-Men. And then not only does it say X-Men, not only does it say X-Force, it says X-Force 97. I was like, man, this is funny. This is a funny episode. I mean, it wasn't a real funny episode. It was just funny the fact they did that, you know. And you see Cable, you know, he's fighting Apocalypse. And then, like, the end credit part before they do it, it's like, instead of freaking the X-Men and the Brotherhood running at each other to hit each other, it's freaking Cable and freaking Apocalypse's teams are running at each other. Cable does the thing that Xavier does in the original opening, and then Apocalypse does the Magneto thing. Oh man, that was funny. That was freaking hilarious. I like that freaking. I hope we get more of that freaking opening credit in the next few episodes. Like, I want to see more of the X-Force opening credit. It's just so funny, you know. But the episode was a serious episode, but that was just a funny part right there. It's like, it was like, wow. So then the episode starts officially with them hunting down the old war from the original animated series. Which I'm like, well, didn't that guy go good in that one at the end of frickin' season? At the end of the frickin' first season of X-Men, the animated series? But I guess not. Because we find out he's still working for Apocalypse. And they went and got Gambit's casket. So the Angel of Death stuff, it's hinted at in this episode that, you know, it's going to be Gambit. But yeah, they go and get frickin' they got Gambit's casket, and freaking Psylocke got it out of freaking war, while Jubilee and Sunspot had him distracted fighting him. So then they tie him to a tree and they interrogate him, and then they have freaking, you know, Psylocke check it, because Psylocke knocked him out when they were fighting him. And then they have Psylocke check his mind, and then she sees what's going on, and you see that it's freaking Gambit's casket from Bright Eyes, that's the name of the episode. And then Apocalypse is talking about he's going to bring down a new world with blood and fire and all that stuff. I think he used that term before in the original show. So, yeah. And then they kill War. But it's not freaking Cable that kills him, it's freaking Archangel. It's like, wow, Archangel just blasted him. Cable gives Archangel the gun. He's like, here, you shoot him. Boom. He's dead. Jubilee wasn't happy about that, and she was letting Cable know about it. Another thing I like about this episode, Cable got to be Cable in this, because in freaking Remember It, we only see him for a split second, and he's trying to warn Madeline Pryor about what's about to happen to Genosha. And then 7, 8, 9, and 10... Cable didn't feel like the Cable he was in the old cartoon. But in this episode, he felt like the old Cable from the original cartoon. And I was like, yes, finally, Cable gets to be Cable. Because there's a point where they go up against X Factor, but they have to retreat. And then they leave Jubilee behind, and she gets captured by X Factor. And, you know, everybody has to convince Cable to freaking go back and get Jubilee. But Jubilee, you know, Cable's like, oh, she'll be fine, she'll be fine. We trained her, she'll be fine. And eventually Sunspot tells her, yeah, she might be able to handle it, but still, she shouldn't have to handle it by herself. And Cable's like, alright, come on, let's go get her. But, by that point, Polaris had done came and saved her. There's also a part in this episode where she freaking calls Havoc knockoff Cyclops. So, I don't think they haven't revealed yet that Havoc is freaking Cyclops' brother. They didn't reveal it in the episode Cold, what was it? Cold, the one with Iceman. They didn't reveal it there. They haven't revealed it here. Like, they didn't say nothing about, oh, yeah, you do sound like your brother. She just, You know, Jubilee calls him a knockoff frickin' Cyclops, but I don't think she knows it's his brother yet. Cyclops don't even know it's his brother. Cable apparently didn't know it was his uncle either, because Cable didn't frickin' react differently to frickin' Havoc the way you think a nephew would to their uncle that they haven't got to see ever. I don't know. You know. You think Cable would know that was his uncle? I mean, he is a psychic. So, I don't know. Maybe he does know and he ain't said nothing yet because he realizes that Cyclops don't know that's his brother yet. Which X-Men Evolution kind of handled the Havoc and Cyclops storyline pretty well. That's one good thing I see X-Men Evolution did over X-Men the Animated Series. But yeah. So anyway, Jubilee, she gets out, she takes out all the freaking guards and she frees all the other mutants that's been captured by X-Factor. And then she has Cable and then put them on the ship. And then she fights, she gets confronted by Val Cooper and frickin' Havoc. And, you know, she gets away. She jumps off, because, like, the frickin' ship they're on, it looked like they frickin' borrowed it from S.H.I.E.L.D. or something. It looked like the frickin' S.H.I.E.L.D. thing they had in the frickin' Spider-Man animated series show when frickin' they first introduced S.H.I.E.L.D. in that show. Then, so she jumps off. She gets caught by Sunspot. They all leave. And, and then, like, you know, Jubilee says something to Cable about the way he handles things or whatever. And, you know, Archangel, well, you know, she is right, but, you know, we're still going after Apocalypse, and this is no place for kids. And Cable's like, well, kids are tougher than you think. And we see the flashback to extended of what was the end of the first episode. So we see Cable, he gets his time machine and all that stuff, and then he sends the X-Men back in time. But at least he knows Cyclops and Jean were his parents before he frickin' sent them back to time. Well, he knows Cyclops is his dad. You know, and I guess he was insinuating that Jean was his mom. I don't know. But anyway. So then we see, you know, that. Then we see it pans to Nathan back in the future. Then it pans back to Cable in the present. And then, you know, that's pretty much how that episode ends. Really good episode. I'll rate all 3 of the episodes when I get done finished talking about episode 3. So, episode 3. Everybody say it's my favorite out of the 3. I like 2 a lot, too. And, yeah, it was just crazy to see that they freaking kill War straight up. But, I thought War turned over a new leaf, but I guess not. Anyway, so episode 3 focuses on the team in the past. And, you know, Ramatut and, you know, Inside Manor and Ball and all that stuff. So we see that Inside Manor is getting ready to go into a freaking fight with Ramatut's forces. And Magneto comes up behind him. He's talking about, you know, how they're trying to get him to be scared of them when they should be scared of him because he's a mutant. And, you know, he's a god amongst insects. So Magneto kind of was trying to get Apocalypse to see his side. Although we know what Apocalypse's philosophy is. And then by the end of the freaking episode, you realize it's not going to work anyway. But anyway, yeah, he's become a close friend with Inside Manor in the frickin' between the events of the frickin' cliffhanger ending of season 1 and between these episodes. So after that, Inside Manor is getting ready to go to the battle. And frickin' Xavier is like a hollow projection talking to Magneto, or he's using his astral form to talk to Magneto. And Magneto's like, oh, you should trust him. We can convince him to be good and all that stuff and blah, blah, blah. Xavier, I swear to God, I mean, if there's any villain Xavier hates the most out of all the X-Men villains, it has to be Apocalypse. Because in the first episode where they see Apocalypse for the first time, frickin' Xavier's like, this ain't like Magneto or the people that conspired to make the Sentinels. These people can be reasoned with and all that stuff. Well, yeah, Magneto can really be reasoned with. I'll talk about more about Magneto here in a minute. But, you know, and Xavier's like, well, you know, Apocalypse, he's the most diabolical villain that we've ever had. There's no way he's ever going to change. Kind of like how Daniel was with the freaking, when the freaking last three villains from the original 3 Karate Kid movies, freaking, you know, when you had freaking Chosen, Johnny, and freaking what's the last name's Mike Barnes. That's kind of how Xavier feels about Apocalypse. He's like, he can't be trusted. He's the most diabolical opponent we've ever had. Wow. Xavier is usually the one that tries to be reasonable and tries to see the good in people. He don't see no good in Apocalypse. He's just like, this motherfucker is a piece of shit. Fuck that. And Magneto's like, well, you know, your X-Men didn't trust me at first. And then I proved, yeah, you didn't prove really, Magneto proved himself in the first couple episodes. But once one big bad thing happened to mutants, Magneto went back to his old ways. I mean, heck, he freaking re-raised the asteroid M. He shut down the power of freaking Earth. He was going to let the freaking Earth people die and everything, and had already let a bunch of people die already. But yet, yeah, you know, you proved them wrong, yeah. When the first big event happens, when you're a good guy, you freaking go right back to being a bad guy. So, yeah. Anyway. So Magneto keeps trying to reason with Insabanor. And then, you know, he tells Xavier that, you know, imagine if you have Apocalypse on the side of good, maybe we might get a planet where your dream actually comes true and all that stuff. I think Magneto's freaking motives were a lot different, because the stuff he was saying to Apocalypse at the beginning of the episode, talking about you're a god amongst them, they should fear you and all that stuff. That sounds like old Magneto trying to convince Apocalypse to live Magneto's dream, not Xavier's dream. But yeah, Xavier, he just was not on it. He's like, hell no, Apocalypse is straight up evil. That motherfucker is evil. He can't be redeemed. Which he also reinforces that at the end of the episode too. So anyway, we see Insabanor. He gets there. He fights. What's the guy's name? Freaking. I think he's supposed to be a cosmic being, but I forgot the guy's name. But he fights that guy. He takes the freaking guy's elephant, picks it up, swings it around, slams the freaking thing into a wall. Almost kills him, but you know he decides not to because of Magneto, you know, talking sense into him. So they cuff him, but Ball is not happy with Apocalypse not killing, well, Insabanor not killing that guy. So later on, we do get, you know, Xavier trying to invade that guy's mind, see what's going on, to see if they can find out how to get themselves back to the future. But apparently they did not know that Bishop was already back there to bring him back to the future. Anyway, so after that, you know, Magneto's confident that he's convinced Apocalypse to be a good guy, or Insabanor to be a good guy, but Ball and all his crew find the stuff they were using to try to rebuild a time machine so they can get back to the future. And that makes Insabanor mad at Magneto mainly. He wasn't too mad at the other ones, but Magneto he felt like was his friend. You know, like his kindred spirit or whatever. The other ones he was cool with, but he really thought Magneto was his friend. Magneto's like, well, I can explain, and he's like, you guys are trying to build some kind of weapon too. And, you know, Magneto's like, no, and then, you know, Ball convinces, you know, Insabanor to try to attack the X-Men. And then, that's when Bishop shows that he's there. They attack Ball and his men. They blast Ball. And then, like, Apocalypse, or Insabanor gets mad and he shoots at Cape, or frickin' Bishop. Bishop gets hit with the power, and then he turns around and uses the power to frickin' shoot it back at him. And the episode ends with Ramatot saying, who really meant to survive, the slave or the freaking conqueror? and then he blasts the spot where N7 and them are laying, because the guy they captured that Magneto convinced N7 not to kill earlier, he killed him, chopped his head off that time, and you know, after that, episode says to be continued because it blasts, and then like it's like to be continued. I also forgot to mention in the X-Force episode, freaking Emma Frost betrays X-Force and sets him up to face X-Factor. That's how they fight X-Factor, because they asked Emma Frost because there was a mental block in the head of War, so that they couldn't find out more information. Psylocke couldn't. Which I guess, you know, leads to why in Wolverine and the X-Men, why freaking why Emma Frost thinks Psylocke is a freaking amateur. Anyway, so overall these first 3 episodes were good. I'll give a 3 to a 3.5 episode 1. 4, I would say 4 for freaking episode 2, and I'll give a 5. I'll give a 4.5 for episode 3. So I can't wait to see. Episode 4 next week. It's going to be pretty good. So far, pretty good start. Hopefully, it continues all the way to the last 10 episodes. Because, like I said, next week we get episode 4. Then after that'll be episode 5, then 6, then 7, and 8. And all these freaking episodes got the time were already revealed. Like, first episode was called Days of Past Future, which there's a flip of Days of Future Past, and I thought, well, wait a minute, are they calling this Days of Future Past again? But I misread it, so yeah. And then the second one was Unstoppable Force, which was X-Force. And the third one was Rise of Apocalypse Part 1. So can't wait to see the rest of the season. Very excited to have X-Men back on the show. We waited forever for this, and you finally delivered. But these first 3 episodes are good. I hear episode 4 is good in the second half, but I'm pretty sure most of episode 4 is pretty good. Can't wait to see. Just have to wait till next Wednesday. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the first 3 episodes of X-Men97 Season 2. In the comments below. And like this video, subscribe for more. Follow my Facebook fan page, Mr. Hornsby 83 Show. Follow my Facebook business page, Charging Toys. And I'll see you guys Friday for my final playthrough of a Mortal Kombat game for this year, for Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection Part 4. So, yeah. Anyway, that'll do it. Catch you guys later, and he's the most diabolical villain the X-Men have ever faced.